at 8:32.
No, watch this.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, GuMPers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Podcast listeners, thank you so much for getting in touch. I recorded a special message for the podcast listeners, the Cinderellas of the Good Morning Portugal show. But I have created you a little thread, a little group to report your feedback to. Shall I take that off the screen, make that a little bit easier, Mrs. M?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
How are you?
I'm okay. I was just trying to wear this lovely creation from Minnie.
Yes.
So she's created me this lovely little
Oh,
necklace,
yeah.
and
It's a bit
it's already
uncomfortable.
broken.
Oh,
so
dear. Chinese shop, was it?
no, and we've had these for years, haven't we? These are lovely.
Right.
But it means I can make some creations whilst I'm on
If I
it.
go on a bit, you can do
I
that.
can start making some things with these little building bricks.
Thank you, James, for this. I don't know why you would send it into this show. We're very serious here. You're only young once, but you can be immature forever. Isn't
Let's
that
hope
really?
so.
Yes, I would say youthful.
Youthful, yeah.
Rather than wanting to undermine my elder status by being called immature. He was an elder, but he was youthful in his approach.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But yes, it's true. I have been called immature once or twice in
Yes,
my
you
life.
have, haven't you?
With the smirking, it doesn't help. I've got a question for you. Is your Dropbox full this morning?
I beg your pardon?
Isn't everybody? Do you get these emails saying that your Dropbox is full and needs attention? Which for a lady, I guess, is a little bit.
No,
alarming,
I
isn't it?
have a monthly thing with them anyway. So
You do?
yeah.
Didn't know about that. I didn't have that on my housekeeping spreadsheet.
No, I do need to cancel it actually.
How long have you been needing to cancel it?
Well, I increased it because I use Google.
Not Dropbox.
Well, I use both.
Do you?
I use Google mainly, but I don't really trust it. And so during one of my moments where I was thinking, I really don't trust it, I need to change over.
That's right. Because
what I'm
Dropbox
doing.
would never look at your stuff, would they?
No, but it was more from the perception of my clients. You know.
Oh, security for the clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I reactivated my old Dropbox with the intention
It
of
sounds like the internet dating again.
I did it with the intention of moving across all of my client work from one to the other.
Yeah.
But there's so much there that I never actually got around to doing it.
All right, so that's an interesting question for people, isn't it? What is that? What is that membership? And I hope it's not a Good Morning Portugal membership. What is that? What is that membership?
That could really go wrong.
It could, couldn't it? I just reminded people. Oh yeah, I must cancel my Good Morning Portugal subscription. What is that subscription you've been meaning to cancel for the last 3 years? But you either don't know how to, can't be bothered, or probably it's a forgotten password. There are a lot of internet companies who must make a lot of money because people can't remember the logins to get in and cancel their accounts and subscriptions.
Okay, well, I had one, maybe two.
It's confession time as well.
It sure is. I noticed that I was paying Spotify twice.
Really? That's worth it, though. I think it's one of those rare subscriptions that's absolutely.
And actually, when I looked into it, I'd set up a membership for one of our kids who was doing music, and it's like this really great technology, and obviously Spotify own it.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and cancelled it. But you know, like if these things are owned by other things, you could easily not understand what you were paying for.
Absolutely. Sorry, just spotted a typo in the ticker tape. That's normal, and I will be. It's in the line that says.
Would you like
For
me to correct it? Okay.
What some are calling Europe's
Done it.
biggest
I
phone.
just did it.
Oh dear. Okay, so now we've got a double typo. Okay, thank you. That was very sharp-eyed of you
Yeah.
this morning. Okay, let's get that ticker tape back on, which tells us, well, which asks you, says to you, Hola, bon dia, alegria, then asks you, tudo bem. So let us know how you are doing this morning. Oh, I'll put lettuce instead of let us. Let me change
Oh my
those.
word.
Gosh, look, you know, stitching time saves 9, but all haste, what's the expression? Do things too fast, and it doesn't really work. You end up paying in the end, don't you? So let me see if that's right now. Join the GuMPer Gathering from 8:31 and let us know how you're doing this morning. That's fairly straightforward, isn't it? Then from 9, it's Mamabear McGowan. And it doesn't seem like 12 hours since I've spoken to her. That's because
It hasn't been
has
12.
only been 12 hours since I've spoken to her. And we had a great chat last night. It was the matter of life and death in Portugal. And the Departure Lounge returns this morning to talk about, in an upbeat and positive and practical way, death and dying. On the agenda, a taboo being tackled. And she's here from 9 o'clock to do that. And then heat up the hotline at 9:30 for what some are calling Europe's biggest phone-in.
That's you, isn't it?
Mainly me.
That one is
being-
calling.
The one guy who started it is calling the biggest phone in Europe.
Bless you. One day it might be, or will be.
I'm hoping my little acorn will be massive one day.
I'm sure it will be. It's a grower, not a shower, isn't it?
Hey, bon dia, alegria. From a Stockholm that we'll see that's been covered in haze, fog, and rain for a couple of days. All snow has melted. Actually, whilst we're talking about outrageous claims, maybe we should talk about the Kraken variant as well. That
Funny that
seems
you
a little
say
bit
an
outrageous.
claim.
What do you mean? Some
Oh.
say it's an outrageous claim. Not
Really?
me. What do you mean? The Kraken or the biggest phone in?
No, the Kraken.
If only we had the COVID PR department working for the biggest phone in. That would make it.
That would be really
We'd
amazing.
be everywhere, wouldn't we?
We really would.
Ian Turner.
Well, let's bring up the
All right.
article. That's
Already.
that's
Oh, no,
okay.
can I say hello to everybody first
Yeah,
before we
okay.
stir the soup of controversy this
Yes.
morning? Okay, because he got a nice big spoon ready for this. Bon dia, GuMPers. The world is coming back to normality. What? First I've heard about it. The schools are oh, okay, that kind of normality. The schools are back, so traffic is grievous.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, sorry to hear that. Sorry to giggle. Grievous traffic and stress levels for drivers off the scale. Luckily, I don't have to join it. Are you just walking past them, Ian? Suggesting to, if you walk to school, you'd be a lot fitter. God Squad tips of the day as you're walking past. No, I remember that. I do. Oh, it gives me the butterflies. Just to be thinking about either being a child in that situation or even being a parent driving kids to school. I used to feel exhausted driving home after the school run.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm sure
absolutely.
that's why my mum, when she was a stay-at-home mum,
And stayed at home.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why.
That's not what it
taking
meant.
us to school.
That's not what it meant, Mum. Stay at home. You don't have to stay at home all the time.
And yet now people have to go straight to work straight after. I'm sure that's
Well, I worked
really
at
difficult.
home. So it was a big old round trip every morning. I was exhausted. I had to go and have myself a British breakfast somewhere to recover.
Yeah.
That was my excuse anyway. Luckily, I don't have to join in. Says, well, I'm glad for you. And your God Squad tip of the day then. I noticed a discussion about nutrition on the show yesterday. Did we talk about nutrition on the show yesterday?
No, you're talking about the intestines.
Oh, okay. The big sack of intestines, which I don't think is called the
worth
intermissary, which does sound like a movie starring Robert De Niro
does,
and
yeah.
Sean Connery, doesn't it? The intermissary.
I think I might have had.
There comes a time in a priest's life.
I think I might have had a Kevin Spacey in that as well.
Kevin Spacey, you don't want him delving into your intestines.
No, absolutely not.
I noticed, well, some do. It takes all sorts. I noticed a discussion about nutrition on the show yesterday. I'm moving on. There's an increasing body of evidence that a healthy gut is vital for good physical and mental. Well, no, the case is, well, actually, that's not very scientific. I was going to say the case.
Who cares about science these days? Honestly,
most
of the things I hear have got absolutely nothing to do with science.
Spoon away,
more
Mrs.
to do with
M,
speculation.
honestly. Okay. I'm not going to say case closed. I'm going to say yes, absolutely. There's little known about these. How many was it? 40 trillion little bugs and stuff doing good work for you inside your guts.
Well, all I can say is I think probably the best way to get a healthy gut is to grow up with a Chinese mum, because all of those pans that were left out for like 2 or 3 days and then reheated and then left out and then just taking food from everything that's on the cooker has done your gut a real
Good
service.
And I
Because
see what you did there.
we've got this
You weaklings.
we've got this bug going round.
Yes.
So I got it, and then it came back again a couple of days later.
Yeah.
And
it goes around me, doesn't it? It comes towards me and then goes, no, we'll never get him.
It came over to our son again yesterday, didn't
Yes,
it?
it did. It
So
did.
just as we thought, all clear.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Bug season has gone in the Munson household.
No.
There it is again.
That's right. But the hot sun yesterday was fantastic. It's either the intense cold or intense heat that I think that could deal with these things. And it was a few cold days. I thought that might have been pretty good for killing a few bugs. Probably was out in the garden for sure. But we love this, Coach Turner. Yes, let's talk more about gut health. Because it's called also the primary brain, isn't it? And when you talk about mental well-being, it plays a very important part in how we're feeling and our mental health as well, to have a healthy gut. And I appreciate how you turned a racial slur into a good bit of health news there, Mrs. M.
Racial slur? Oh, Chinese mum.
Best thing for gut health is a Chinese mum. Since the start of you're not going to hear the NHS saying that, I don't suppose. Can you imagine their PR department panicking at the idea that they have to nominate a particular race of people?
Well, what I mean is, your mum has been creating bacterial strains and bacterial diversity for your stomach since birth,
since the 1960s.
Yeah,
yes, very good. Well,
whereas
done.
a lot of
she should get an OB for that, and I don't mean an out-of-body experience.
Wow. No, I just think, there's lots of people that mess around with probiotics. You can buy them really easily. Yes. But you know what? It's so much easier and more fun to make them.
Yeah. Or just leave your pots out overnight.
Exactly.
Don't eat 7-day-old rice. That is for the advanced Chinese, actually.
Well, there's some real big poisons in that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Okay.
We're not advocating you do that, but
yes.
It's just my observation. You've not had a single stomach bug in the 12 years I've known you.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Since the start of the COVID pandemic, I have been contributing to, look at this, the ZOE study, now with over 4 million participants. Its original purpose has been expanded to look at more general health. Tell us more about that. What is that? I'm sure I've heard John Campbell talking about ZOE. So was that is that a general health initiative?
Wouldn't that be ZOE?
So okay, all right, Zoe study then, and is that Zoe Ball who started it? I wonder. No, probably not. But what is that? Please, can we have a link to that, Coach Turner? Because that sounds interesting. Because we did want to talk a little bit about the latest, and we need everyone to sit down and draw the curtains for the latest variant news of COVID, don't we? The Kraken. Oh no, wrong jingle. That's the one, isn't it? For the Kraken variant. Bon dia, GuMPers from T-Duck. And a deep thoughts.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it, that finally there are people actually talking about how you can boost your health and your
maybe
immune
that's what
system.
this is about.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what this is about this morning. Excellent stuff. Okay, deep thought. You can go home again. This is Ursula K. Le Guin. So long as you understand that home is a place where you have never been. That's a little bit like the T.S. Eliot, isn't it? Return to the place where we started and know it for the first time, perhaps. Maybe the home you yearn for is new once you get back there. Portuguese saying of the day. Do you want to do this?
No.
Or shall I? Nope. Meu pedra, meu tijolo. Half rock, half brick. That's me. What does that mean? T-Duck hasn't dared translate that this morning. Half rock, half brick. That's a solid kind of individual that you can depend on, maybe. He was meu pedra. Meo tijolo.
Yeah, if you know what that actually means,
we do.
Let us know. We need some context on that one, don't we?
Okay, Mrs. M, look away now because Ugo Nuno is here. Fun facts and phenomena with his big eye. It's okay, he's gone now. Right, Ugo Nuno. That was cruel, wasn't it?
You're such an infant.
Do you mean immature?
Yeah.
The Tower of Belém was built in the 16th century as a tribute to Vasco da Gama. Quite right, too. Originally, the tower was on an island, but an earthquake changed the course of the Tagus, and the tower now borders the quay. What? Did you know that?
No.
That's amazing, isn't it? So the Tower of Belém. What a lovely part of Lisbon that is.
Yeah, I really like Belém.
Yeah, me too. Dad jokes. We better do the warning, hadn't we? Because people keep sneaking them in. As if to catch us unawares. Sneakier than a COVID variant, some of these dad joke purveyors are here. Where is that dad joke? Oh, we've got a trigger alert. I haven't had to play that. I might have to play that this morning. No? You don't like that one. Right.
No.
Where is it? Here it is.
Warning. Warning.
Oh, no, indeed. You don't like any of these, do you?
No.
You make the jingles then.
Why do we need jingles for everything?
That's quite a fundamental,
Yeah, that's a good question to ask.
shattering question.
Yeah. I mean, I like the sound effects.
I'm going
A
to step back.
jingle's like five seconds, and it comes with a visual, and it's all really like super cheese.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to play this one because that's upset me now. You've upset me. That was upsetting.
That's upsetting.
Why do we even need jingles?
Yes. Why do we even need jingles?
I feel like getting up and walking out like
Yeah, you
what's his
should.
name did.
Go on,
What's
hop
his
it.
name? Oh, is this your way of actually taking over the show? To undermine me publicly like this? Morning, Lee. Help! Release the Kraken. Don't you start, Andrew Gilchrist. Oh dear, that was. I never know what's going to happen. I'm going to give you a dad joke. I'm going to cheer myself up with a dad joke now. How much did the pirate pay to get his ears pierced? A buccaneer.
Oh,
Quality,
Got
right there. And we'll come back to the others because I think Em might like to hear that joke. Okay. It's also worth following Professor Tim Spector, a professor of medicine called Spector. I'd be worried every time I went to see him, wouldn't you? On social media.
He's got one of those names that is
Yeah,
quite
isn't he?
memorable, but also sounds like it could be a joke name.
Tim Spector.
What's
Yeah, like
SM?
Inspector Willie.
Oh, social.
And you said I was immature.
Yeah, I like this.
And YouTube. And he has. I only remember the punchline, Inspector Willie. I don't remember what the actual joke is that gets you to that point where you can fall about laughing. Andrew, help me. And he's some great books published as well.
Great.
Okay. Oh, that's another one. I can't read that yet. That's about the.
I've already read it. It's
Have
good.
you? Okay. Look, and they're coming in thick and fast. Patient doctor. I seem to have to sing in a Welsh accent. This happened to me actually. Doctor, you appear to be suffering from Tom Jones syndrome. Patient, is that normal? It's not unusual.
Very good.
Bon dia, GuMPers. Feliz segunda. Seriously, for a moment, como está? From James there, our psychotherapist. And hola, bon dia, kids. Tudo bem? Thank you, James, for your memes. Excellent nature memes. Actually, that's a really good warm-up for Mamabear McGowan because she lives in nature and is, a nature priestess. I don't think she'll mind me calling her that.
That's a lovely thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Nature
I know. So
priestess.
I got some lovely nature references this morning, largely in part to James. So we'll return there. Victoria, Ian, a lot of shouting going on in the comments in the GuMPer Gathering this morning. That's why I'm calling it from 8:31 to about 9 when our special guests join us. It is the GuMPer Gathering. And I love that warm glow. It's like a warm toilet seat or a lift that's had too many people in it all day. Bon dia, lovely. Going up. Bon dia, lovely months. Oh, Victoria, good morning to you. And Anna Olsen, bon dia, Alegria from Stockholm. Oh, I read this already, didn't I? But I'm going to do it again. It's covered in haze. It probably still is fog and rain for a couple of days. When are you coming back? Oh, maybe now that all the snow has melted. Arriving. Portugal.
She says on Sunday.
All right. I didn't get to the end of the sentence. She's back on Sunday. Good morning, people from Lee and Victoria saying Lee and giving him a little daisy there. That's nice, isn't it? Bachandi is here. Good morning, Portugal. Dry this morning. We will take advantage and go for a walk. It was so hot yesterday, Andy. Was it hot up in your end of the woods, neck of the woods this morning? Son off to work, office day. Daughter at home from uni, studying as it's exam season. Well, best of luck to her. Give her a beau sort from us in exam season. Smash hammer that like button, says T Duck, and then at various shouts out. Hold on, careful. I believe in science. You see, you've nothing to worry about. If you believe in science, nothing I can say is going to change that, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit like my faith in the little people at the end of the garden. Nothing will take away my ideas about.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because when you were talking
the little
about
people at the end of the garden.
No, when you were talking about the variant, I thought you said the variant.
The variant. I see. He's pushing us to release the Kraken. You asked for it. Beverly Maidment. Bon dia, lovelies. It is Zoe as in toe. I was right first time.
Okay.
English is such a confusing language. And it's always difficult when you know someone called Zoe, whether you call them Zoe or Toe, isn't it? I agree with Louisa on the... Oh, that's savage this morning. Trigger. Yeah, well, that'll teach you. Just press any button on. I didn't do that. I can't believe it. This may divide and ultimately end the GuMPer community. This sort of talk. That's hit me right in my gut flora. It really has. I believe in science, but I also believe that it can be twisted and used against the general population to divide us.
Yeah.
What would make you say that, I wonder? Batty is here to the star of our YouTube channel at the moment. Thanks for the help yesterday. Hey! Miracles performed on the show as well. We're good, aren't we? Look at that. The water, so does ours, but that's because I bought a new gas bottle. That seemed to do the trick. I, for one, enjoy the jingles. Thank you. It all adds to the fun and silliness. Damned by faint praise, which is a big reason I enjoy the show so much. I had no idea that this was causing such a rift secretly and behind the scenes. And anyway, they're not jingles, they're vingles, because they are video jingles.
Okay.
A term which I invented last year, which didn't make it into the dictionary of new words, but it will do, along with the biggest phone in. Dad always, one word, hashtag. Dad always thought laughter was the best medicine, which is, I guess, why several of us died of tuberculosis. That's savage, isn't it? Yikes. Sarah Yerman, bon dia to you. And I meant is it, not it is. Sorry. What?
Let's go back to that.
Yeah, we need a jingle for that, don't we? We need the confusion jingle to be played at that point. Beverly, I don't know if I can find it in my heart to forgive you or ever read out one of your comments again.
Don't worry, he'll get over it.
Well, I've forgotten.
Because he'd have forgotten
by tomorrow morning.
Well, just the next half hour.
What was I meant to be upset about? Can somebody remind me? Okay, right. The Kraken, this is important news now. This because you do need to be aware of this on the streets, lanes, any public place in Portugal. The Kraken variant arrives in Portugal. Yes, and that's what it looks like. Is that right? No, that's a still from a video game featuring the terrifying Kraken, which if you are of a nervous disposition when it comes to new variants, please look away now. Okay, so there you go. That's what it's one of those memes, isn't it? That's what the scientists say it looks like. What it actually looks like. We may actually. Yes, what it looks like is what your room looks like at the moment. You can't see it, guys, can you? Experts do not find any reason for concern, is the first line of this on the 9th of January by Natasha Don. In spite of all the alarmist studies, the Kraken variant of COVID-19 has arrived in Portugal and is not making itself felt beyond passing from one person to another, as viruses do, right? And has not seen one expert dial in to the manufactured hysteria. Manufactured by whom is the first journalistic probe I will bring to this. Yeah. Last week, researchers in China were telling everyone willing to listen. That's spiky, isn't it? There's a spiky tone.
There's a lot of edge in this.
There's more spike in this than on a spike protein. I don't know if that's a scientific fact or not. It was the most transmissible COVID variant yet, and could spawn even more immune evasive variants. That sounds serious, doesn't it? The choice of the name for what is otherwise known as XXB.1.5, that's why they had to give it a name, of course, may be the reason for the complete lack of interest from society at large. The Kraken was a legendary sea monster of enormous proportions, like the biggest phone-in. With a reputation for pulling down ships, unlike the biggest phone in. The fact that it has been given a nickname for a derivative of the Omicron variant, for which most people causes no more than a sniffle, has led to even the most gullible starting to question.
That's interesting.
You know who you are. Actually, they probably don't know who they are, do they? If they are the most gullible.
Well, I just think.
But if you're starting to question,
I think that's a very interesting comment.
It's opinion.
Yes.
Okay. The Chinese study that saw media reports join the words Kraken with spawn described the new variant's ability to tightly bind to the human cells it infects, potentially lending itself to the evolution of an even more dangerous variant. But when all the jargon was redacted, it boiled down to an even more dangerous variant of a sniffle, and this does seem to be the opinion in Portugal, where it has to be said the number of people coming forwards for their third and fourth booster shots is waning. Manuel Carmel Gomes, epidemiologist. He's a man who can actually say, I am actually an epidemiologist, and lecturer at Lisbon University's Faculty of Sciences, was one of the country's leading experts regularly consulted during the pandemic. He's not a man given to optimism. Not much fun at a dinner party. But one who realised over a year ago that leaving people to become infected naturally was becoming
the best option.
Yes. Did you not see that in the news?
No.
For
And,
some reason.
For me, like, why would an epidemiologist not automatically believe that anyway, or learn?
I don't know. We need to speak to an epidemiologist about that. Oh, he was admitted. He has admitted. No, he was admitted. He has admitted to Espresso that there is no evidence that XXB.1, 0.5, the Kraken variant is any more pathogenic, meaning, thank you, Natasha, capable of creating more serious cases, more hospitalizations, and more deaths, explains the paper. Indeed, hospitalizations and deaths are no longer a characteristic of Omicron. You simply do not hear about them anymore in Portugal, where the majority of the population has had at least 2 shots of one of the vaccines, and even more have immunity due to having been infected with the virus. Do we need to read any more there? I think it goes on to say that the pharmaceutical companies are now hiring salespeople to jump out directly from behind lampposts and scare people.
Yeah, I think that's probably what's going on, actually.
Right. Okay.
I mean, it's just a sort of fantastical name, isn't it?
At least the Kraken.
Do you know what I've wondered this whole time?
Right.
Is, when people say, "Oh, I've got the Omicron," or "Oh, I've got this," or "Oh, this must be the Kraken."
Yes. I've got the Kraken.
I've got the Kraken. Which I'm sure lots of people, in different parts of the world are saying.
Yeah.
How are they actually diagnosing themselves? Are they using the same test that has not changed?
I don't know.
It hasn't changed its markers.
I'm not an epidemiologist or a doctor. I can't speak on these things. And I imagine it's really good though if you want to phone in sick. Can you imagine? Okay, so you're the boss, right? I'm ringing you up now. Can you answer the phone?
Hello.
Oh, hi, Louise.
Wandsworth Surgery. What can I do?
No, you're not the doctor. You're my employer.
Oh, okay.
But okay, let's say I work at Wandsworth Surgery, and this is in no does not
get on
relate.
with it. Look, time is money.
We could get into a lot of legal trouble with Wandsworth Surgery unless I have to do this particular. What would it be called? Caveat or disclaimer? Disclaimer. This does not refer to the actual Wandsworth Surgery.
Okay.
So, Dr. Tanner Munson, I really don't feel very well. I don't think I should come in. I've got the Kraken.
Get your ass to work now.
No.
This is the biggest load of bullshit. Get to work now, or get your P45 in the post.
You can't talk to me like that.
Shy. I don't care.
You can't talk to me like that. I've got the Kraken.
You're toast. I mean, get out.
I mean, I've got the Kraken. Oh, that was being taken back to the 70s there, wasn't it? A little tough love from the boss.
Yeah.
Did you say get your ass in here?
Yes. Or get your P45 in the post.
My God, there you go. This is the very definition of compassion there. That didn't go quite how I wanted
we've just sorry to ruin your sketch. But that article just said it's not causing any more than the sniffles.
Yeah. Immunity is
the best is the best way, to like use your natural immunity.
Yes.
So, for something, if like when did like I've got so many questions about this still.
Okay.
And I
you've got to leave them hanging there. Our guest needs to come on now.
Okay, but for a lot of people, I've seen people post on social media, I can't do anything because I've tested positive. People are taking tests for things before they even have symptoms, where people have got so scared about
that's the
everything.
age we live in. Science
people
has given us that.
So
Come
scared.
on, isn't that a great thing?
No,
you can get diagnosed without even having any symptoms these days. That's amazing.
Yeah, and do you know what we used to call that?
Get your ass to work.
No
syndrome.
No, if you don't have symptoms,
you ain't got it.
You're well.
What?
How did we know we were ill before? We knew we were ill because we had a temperature.
I can't compute this.
We started to sniff. We started to cough. We knew, and we just naturally took time off school or work or whatever.
I can see Natasha Don's next headline: "Man killed by common sense on radio show."
No, I'm not.
He couldn't take that much common sense in one go.
I'm not trying to.
It was the end of him.
I'm not trying to diminish anything. But it's been this big question for me the whole way through.
Okay, fair enough.
There's a whole bunch, there's lots of unaccounted for, unexplained people dying, according to the news, according to all the offices and bureaus of statistics. And we've never had such a big history of people just suddenly dying in their prime of nothing, or like not having any sort of pathologies leading up to it. It's absolutely bizarre. So I think humanity's taken a massive wrong turn at some point. Where did we go from? I feel
a song coming on.
Where did we go from believing and trusting in our immune system and knowing we were ill because we had a symptom, to sitting at home with a piece of plastic, testing ourselves and hearing from a random bit of plastic that lots of people have pranked as well with orange juice or mango or something like that and got a positive result.
Right.
When did we defer our common sense and our I don't know, when did that happen and how did that happen? I just think we have been under
2002.
We have been under a massive psychological such a psychological stress that it's changed the nature of how we think.
Wow. Okay.
It's shocking to me. I just can't believe it.
Right.
And he's right. He's got a comment here. He says, it's not science causing the problem. It's the global super hyped media. It sells nothing sells news like bad news.
Yes. Okay.
Well, and people have listened to the news. And I can't wait for that day when we find out it's all a load of, it's like World Wrestling, whatever it is, World Federation Wrestling. I don't know what it's called. What's that? Where, wrestling.
WWF. Is the comparison you make, isn't it? Morning, Owen. He is with you now. I was quite worried for a minute. Well, for a number of reasons. We are 3 minutes late for our guest.
Oh, sorry,
but I couldn't. There was no stopping that rant.
Yeah,
there was
I just
getting in the way of that.
It just builds up in me. Like a symptom. It's a symptom that has to come out. I'm infected.
Dare I say, you kind of released a Kraken of your own this morning here on the Good Morning Portugal show, which is also a rum. As well, Kraken is the name of a rum situation. You were talking about, Mrs. M. The label has an octopus on it, Beverly Maidment, who also. So just let's resolve these. Let's keep you waiting for Mamabear and the quality guest that's about to arrive on your screens. Just a quick bit of resolution. Stephen Wright used to be a proofreader for a skywriting company. I think Andrew's trying to lighten the mood there. It was going it's like a dinner. It was like a Christmas dinner, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I'm the one that ruins it.
Can I just read out this cracker joke to cheer everybody up? No. Okay. And I think this is important to include. My comment on the Vingles was sincere. Fun and silliness is a positive thing in my life.
Yes, that's true.
Quite true. But I'm still a little bit upset about
that. Bring out a Vingle.
Toe as in toe or as in the name. It was a question. Oh, it wasn't. You see, that's what can happen. This is probably what happened with a few of these scientific papers. They weren't statements. They were questions.
Yes.
It was a question. I've never heard of it. So how would I know? Disjointed conversations like Chinese whispers. Racist. Okay. Christmas surprise. Carols in church referred to shepherds coming from Belém. When the readings of the nativity story from St. Luke had the same reference, I read that Belém is Bethlehem. That's absolutely right. And Bedlam, we call it in the UK as well, which doesn't have a particularly savoury or positive connotation, Bedlam. And poor education has led to a belief in false prophets. You see what he did there?
Yeah.
He did a nice little wordplay there.
Yes,
and common sense is not so common, as we know. I watched your first recording with Will Carl. Will's on it too. I recorded another one with him yesterday. You didn't like that so much, did you, Mrs. M? But if anybody wants the link to my recording with, which is being kept away from Mrs. M, because she, oh my God, talk about release the Kraken. But anyway, I've got another one to share with you, and I have to play a jingle now, if that's okay with everybody. It's not going to
Let's bring him a Mamabear on.
That's why I'm giving her a nice round of applause. Here she comes.
Good morning, my lovely. How are you?
We're sorry we're late.
Good morning. Not bad.
Sorry about that, keeping you waiting. But you saw what happened there, didn't you?
Yeah, I was watching you laughing in the background.
Yeah,
I always take it back to it's the you could say it's the biology of belief. It's
oh my word!
It's the universal law of psychic cause and effect in action. So the more people that believe something, the more something becomes true, according to a person's frame of mind.
Yes. My goodness. So there actually are 6 or 7 or 8 billion different worldviews going on, right? Yeah. And there are some
there's a lot of belief systems going on. It's
right,
time to get out the limiting belief thing, start questioning what's real, what's true, and where's the truth.
Oh, don't start. I've already got
If we
enough
can-
problems this morning.
If we can believe the stats on world population figures, then yes, then there are that many
Oh my
viewpoints.
word! Oh,
I
my
question
word.
everything now.
You do,
Sorry.
don't you? It's really hard. I mean, can you imagine? It used to be, what do you want for dinner, right? And that was a difficult moment, especially if you're out at a restaurant. What do you fancy on the menu? I question everything. It's like we're there 3 hours later, we still haven't eaten a thing. And then now it's extended to everything possibly coming in via every news source, isn't it? Oh, okay. You need
It's complicated,
need a
isn't it?
vingle for that. Mamabear McGowan, it was great to hang out with you last night and great to see you again this morning. We are into the Departure Lounge, which is our monthly feature looking at death and dying in a practical, positive and upbeat way. Great session last night. Thank you. You were amazing. And we covered everything, didn't we? From the practicalities of wills, powers of attorney, and we got a bit cosmic as well, as we tend to do and may well do again this morning. Did you have any further reflections after our conversation last night that you wanted to revisit this morning? I nailed it.
I did, but because I've been up most of the night with the dog, they seem to have come and gone. So I've even got myself my notepad and pen this morning so that I can make notes. If there's anything I need to actually remember, I'll write it down so I don't forget.
You do that, don't you, Mrs. M?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a massive pile of paper here in the office of those sorts of things. Yeah, here's one. 1979, buy potatoes. So, okay, no, that's me. That was a really king-size bit of passive aggression, wasn't it?
Wow.
Is that your to-do list on your phone?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, excellent stuff. And Andrew, yes, question everything. That is truly scientific, isn't it? And I questioning everything. Ooh. Does that bring you back like Ursula K. Le Guin to the home and knowing it for the first time? This is home, but it's not the home you thought it was, I wonder. Oh, my goodness. All right. It's a complicated one this morning. Lots of things going off, you might say. And I have to say as well, the GuMPers are a little bit quiet this morning. Have you blown their minds, Mrs. M? Or
I don't think so.
Or disgusted them or something like that?
The GuMPers are a really intelligent and sensitive group of people.
Yeah.
I don't think I've blown anyone's mind.
No, okay, fair enough.
Probably made them realise that they're also questioning things as well.
Yeah, and who knew? So whilst there was a veneer of everyone going about their business, underneath it was a seething mass of questioning everything.
Well, going with what Mamabear is saying,
Yeah.
you know, we are all in each other's frames of reference, aren't we? You know, and the people that are attracted here today will have, you know, they have a similar resonance at the moment. There'll be something for everyone.
Well, and we have a reverend of metaphysics here in the form of Mamabear McGowan as well. So let's talk metaphysics and carry on with this theme of conversation, if we may. And we welcome questions, of course. And we're going to throw the phone lines open to Europe's biggest phone in at 9:30. But there are these billions of points of view, Mamabear, and there's also a common agreement, isn't there? Is that this bit in the middle then, where the Venn diagrams overlap most regularly? Is that the kind of average world, collective world we have? How is the collective made?
Okay, like I kind of think of it like this. There's the world of phenomena. And the world of phenomena to me is Mr. 9 till 5 or Mrs. 9 till 5. It's those stuck in the live, work, sleep kind of mentality. And then there's the people who don't live in the world of phenomena. They're not as caught up in the life, first world dramas, you know. And they're more connected to themselves, and they're more connected to nature. They're more connected to asking questions and self-reflection and things like that, turning inward. I'm not saying the world, you know, is a bunch of hippies. There's loads of people from many. Oh wow, we've got a bird. Hey, just give me a minute.
That's a sign.
Okay.
It's a sign.
Did you see that? There's a bird flew in, went up to the mirror, looked in the mirror, sat on the aloe vera plant and then left. And it was a sparrow. And sparrows bring us a message about community. So they're all about bringing people together and getting people talking, which is really interesting considering
How about
that's what
that
we're
timing?
doing right now.
How about that timing?
That's amazing. Just as you're talking about nature, sort of kind of coming into our world and observing nature, it pops in.
Yes.
We've actually got a fat sparrow that's come into our house.
Yes,
just
we had
yesterday
and we've
or
got
the
a
day
sparrow
before.
gang operating in our
Yeah.
garden as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's all about the sparrows at the moment. That's lovely, Mama Bear.
Yeah, sorry, I want to hear more.
It
about
wasn't
It's all
us that
right. So,
interrupted
so
you, it was the
the
sparrows.
mean sparrows, they're saying, as community, we come together and we talk about things. So if we're maybe in the world of phenomena, we'd come together and we'd gossip. Oh, him next door, this, that, and the other, and we'd be stuck in that really imbalanced level of focusing on everyone else, trying to save like the world from our own perspectives, and not really listening or being with people or ourselves. Now, once we're outside or stepping out of the world of phenomena, we start to release our victimhood, our being a victim to circumstances, and we start taking responsibility and asking questions. And we start coming away from the mentality of where life, we're victims of life and what happens, and we start becoming where we're taking control, we're taking back our power. We talked about that last night. When we take back our power, we're no longer victims of what is and what's going on around us, and we start being in control, I guess, but not in a controlling kind of way. We're more mindful of how we think and how we act. At the karma yoga, you know, when we're really mindful of our actions and what we do and how it ripples out into the world, we start to come together. It brings together our mind, body and spirit. So we work as a union, yoga union, and that's what we do here. We help bring things, ask questions, we bring together the mind, the body, the spirit, and we look at everything as a whole instead of separate things, you know. So yeah, it's all about coming and stepping away from the world of phenomena, taking responsibility for our own actions, and starting to turn inward while we're focusing on the bullshit of the victimhood. This is all, you know, oh, it's their fault, they've told me that, so I've got to believe that. Like with some of the things in the medical health profession, even the doctors don't believe the bullshit, but you know, they're just trying to get by. And the more we step away from that and take back our power and do things in a more mindful way, you know, I won't say any other word, I'll just use mindful, we'll make more responsible choices, and we'll live more responsibly.
And this is why
and then that world of phenomena won't bother us at all.
Yeah,
you know, when all this started, I was living in a forest, I didn't see anyone, I was perfectly all right, it didn't bother me. It didn't affect me one bit for a very long time. And then I went out and I was like, oh, what's going on out here? Like, what's going on with all these folk? And they're looking at you like you've got three heads, because you know you're not
I must have missed
the
that
same as
variant.
everyone. But because I've grown up in a very alternative way, I used to be one of the Manchester punks. I used to have a big Mohican, one of the biggest in Manchester. So I was used to people looking at me like I had three heads. So it really didn't matter. So I carried on, you know. But if we're in that world of phenomena, when someone looks at you like you've got three heads, it keeps you trapped in the world of phenomena. It keeps you thinking in, oh no, what did she say or he say or blah, 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 instead of thinking, well, what's for the highest good here? You know,
I really like what you're talking about there, you know, and the common agreement. You know, it would appear that because you'd been out in the forest and you were sort of separated from the common agreement as to how the world is right now, it just didn't reach you. You know, nothing.
I wouldn't say it's an agreement either.
Actually, that's true. It's not an agreement.
What it is, you see, is there's so much power that we have in our language and in our thoughts. So by calling it an agreement, we're psychic cause and effect. We're making it an agreement. We're making it more of an agreement. Now, if we change it to maybe it's the behavior of others or the collective behavior of others, it doesn't mean it's the, you know, because there's people like ourselves who have similar views, whereas we're all we're different, but we accept we're different, but we have similar core values, say.
Mm.
And when we live like that, we're okay. We've got an acceptance that, like, you believe what you do and that's cool, and I love you anyway. And I believe what I do and you love me anyway. And that's the way it should be, instead of, if you don't believe what I'm saying and agree with me and I'm right and you're wrong, then we have more separation, more division in community. And that's where everything stems. Everything that's imbalanced in life is because there's a division, a separation caused by fear, where people aren't allowing another person to explore and be where they're at in that moment. And that sucks. But that's part of our evolution, isn't it? It's to step above that and find where we're caught up so that we can move on.
That's really beautifully articulated.
I recognise that. Yeah, absolutely. And you could substitute the word agreement with conspiracy, couldn't you, as well? People.
No, because conspiracy, it depends on your perspective as well. So they think it's a conspiracy. We think it's, because I did that for a while. I'm in at one of these health groups. So you've got the for and the against. It's still separation.
Yeah, it is.
Sure.
So it's still division. So instead of causing, you've got them saying it's one thing, so it's still someone saying this is right, this is wrong. Well, right and wrong's bullshit. It's either balanced or imbalanced, and if it's imbalanced, it's too much of one and not enough of the other, whereas an acceptance needs to allow both. It needs to make room for both.
Well,
it doesn't pull things apart.
Yes, and you're onto something, don't you, when you feel a sense of balance and you feel a sense of goodness, rather than when you're divided in your mind. There's a clear difference. I think that's
or maybe not even a sense of goodness, but just
when you're feeling really
these
calm
words
in something. Are so difficult, aren't they? I don't mean goodness as in judgmental goodness. I mean, like, we know what it's like, don't we, to sit down in a chair, feel the sun on our back, and to say, that's good. I mean, that kind of good. I mean, the good inside. I don't mean
things just feel
that feels nice, doesn't it?
Yes.
But it's not, when that's not positive and negative. That's not right and wrong. It's like, at this moment, I'm embracing this warm feeling of this beautiful view, of this beautiful buzz in my body that I'm receiving right now, because I'm feeling Papa Inti kissing my skin. What? And it's like, wow, how beautiful is that?
What were we just feeling there?
There can be beauty even in the dark stuff,
Yeah.
That's true. But what did you just bring into the conversation there? We were feeling.
Which bit?
You said something like Hakuna Matata or something along those lines.
Papa Inti kissing
What's
your
that?
skin.
Right.
Papa Inti is the sun god.
Really? Okay. Well, I had definitely felt.
It depends what you believe. My teachings, as in the people, some of my teachers, not all of them, I've trained with people in the Amazon, and I have a lineage which goes through to like the Incans, and some of my teachings come from the Cairo. I never say that right, but it's the people who still live in the mountains near Cusco. So it's all about different things and different things that you believe. So my chosen, you could call him what you like. I'm sure he doesn't mind, because names aren't important. But I'm so grateful for the blessings that come from the sun. And I choose to honor the sun in that way, as I do with Mama Kia, who is the moon. Mama Kocha is the water goddess. Pachamama is the earth. There's plenty more, but it's chosen names that resonate with me. But you can really call anything what the hell you like, because in the outside of the world of phenomena, roles don't actually matter. All what matters is we love and respect other things, whatever the things are, whether the people or places or whatever, and we I guess we honor them, and we're grateful, and we share our gratitude. So in the morning I'll be you know, our namaste to Papa Inti and Pachamama, and when the rain comes, I'll be out there, you know, thank you, you know. It's just one of those things that resonates with me. It works for me.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. We're getting blessed this morning by the Oracle's channel. We have, what are you laughing at? There's a pink hand waving, and that goes on to, look, super shout out to all super friends from the Oracle's channel, TOC. And now that's turned, I'm liking these colors, a turquoise person waving, and a hello everyone from
That's
Oracle's
really
channel.
nice.
Who is that?
That's really
Well,
nice,
you're very
because
welcome
often
here.
when we get like a new name that speaks in some kind of code, like hand pink waving,
Yeah.
it's some kind of
Yes, something
funny
we'd rather
sexual
not
troll.
have, something inappropriate.
So
for the
when it
moment.
first came on the screen, I was like, oh.
Yeah, there you go. Well, hello to you,
Hello.
Oracle's
Very
channel.
nice that
Moaz
you-
is in as well this
Hello,
morning. Look
Moaz.
at this. Oh, Andrew,
Oh.
ever the scientist, you're getting spammed. I was enjoying that. Do you have to? Okay.
Go back to Moaz.
Can I mention something here
You're a
about
smart
science?
woman with beautiful eyes.
You can, but you've got to take this compliment first.
Yeah.
You're a
Okay,
smart woman
well,
with beautiful
thank
eyes,
you
Moaz.
for the compliment. I
right.
really appreciate that.
No, I
It's
hope you're
lovely
not gonna
to share something nice.
Oh, thank you, Moaz, and thank you, Mama Bear. Now, yes,
Mama Bear wanted to mention something about science.
Yeah, and that's why I'm pausing for a minute, because I'm
There is.
hoping she's not going to be controversial or swear. It's been a bit sweary this morning. It's been a bit controversial.
Sorry, I started that when I said bullshit.
Well, actually, James started it yesterday. He dropped the F-bomb yesterday and infected everyone. It's all my fault, he says. Well, that's the interesting
Well,
thing.
actually, you can only take responsibility for your own behaviour. Everyone else is all adults here, and we're all more than capable of taking responsibility for ourselves.
So you all then, in that case, there you go. Carry on, science.
Science. Now it's all right. It's that roles. It's that names of things again. So we're calling things science, and there's that many different things when it comes to science. You know, psychology is a science. Chemistry, physics, metaphysics, it's all different science. Like epigenetics is, you know, it's in there. There's that many different strands of science. So just because one science says one thing, another science can say another something else. And it's at the end of the day, with anything in the world, science or any other subject, the best way to do it is we just sit with ourselves and we feel into our bodies and we say to ourselves, well, where am I feeling this? Where does it feel like? Does it feel not so good? Does it feel unpleasant in my body? Do I feel comfortable with what I'm hearing? And if we're not sure, we can tune into there's 4 centers, our 4 brains in our bodies. So we've got our head, our throat, our heart, and our stomach. So when we tune into these brains, and we can ask which one, you know, how's it feel in our stomach? How's it feel in our heart? How's it feel in our throat? How's it feel in our head? And then once we've asked the question to all parts of us, then we sit with our head, and our head gets the last say, but only after we've heard the other 3, you know. So we're finding what feels right to us. So we're tuning into our spidey senses, as you call them,
Yes.
Mrs. M. We're tuning into our intuition, and we're feeling into what's right for us. You know, not anyone else. What's right for us, and that's the bit that will pull us back to our truth and back into balance. Because when we're looking at everything else and forgetting about this important, like, superpower that we all have, we tend to get carried away with the crowd, go off on magic carpet rides, dive down rabbit holes, and before long you'll be in Narnia, and that's through the wardrobe.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's also twinned with Totnes, I believe.
Yes.
In the UK.
That's right. And you've got to be careful going there. Well,
I really like what you're saying there. I mean, Carl and I just keep asking ourselves, where does this come from? Like, who's
But does it matter?
Well, just to initially, I mean, that's a really good question. Does it matter? But one of the things I've been
because it's still their perspective, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
what one
each
thing
human being's so different. We're all amazing, unique human beings with
yes,
so many different things going on in our life and our life experience that took us from birth to where we're at now.
Mm.
And our belief system of where we're at now is built up on everything we've ever been through and whatever we've learned. So someone with a very similar life that we've had that lives in a different part of the world will have been conditioned differently, will receive
Yeah.
get a different point of view.
Mm.
So all these different people, really, yes, it's what they believe and we can respect that they're believing that, but when it comes down to it, how we feel about it is more important than where it's come from or how they've got to that. Because we're, as much as they say this is what I believe and this is what I'm stating on this piece of paper, this peer-reviewed report or whatever, yeah, and you can go, right, okay, but what was the bits behind that before it got to the peer review reports, all those different things going on for those people. So yet again, it just takes it too many. The more we get caught up in different variables, the more different directions we have to get caught up and pulled away from our truth, which is we're either happy with it or we're not. And if we're not happy about something, what can we do in ourselves? Ramdas says we can only work on ourselves. You know, I can't work on you, I can only work on myself.
Well,
and
actually,
that's what it is. And if we all did that in all circumstances, then we'd all start taking responsibility for our own shit.
Absolutely.
You know?
In fact, I didn't really ask that question very well, because what I meant by
there, isn't there?
What I mean is, when you were talking about the four centers or the four brains, or you know, I asked my body, like, if I feel something, like if a fear comes up or something like that, you know, I'm asking, is this mine? And getting really, you know, I ask my body in different places or just in general. I'm getting really sort of like as clear as I can about what I'm actually feeling and whether there's something that I'm picking up from, you know, close proximity to other people. But it's about like you say, getting really responsible about where you are in this moment.
But
And
I mean, when
I
you
find
say, is
asking
this
my body,
mine? It's a beautiful thing. And is this yours? And that's what a lot of empaths do. Is it mine? Am I picking this up from him or her or something else in
and
my
then if I
environment?
do,
Someone, a complete stranger that's sat in your environment, is it mine? But it's also, we can also ask, where's this coming from? Because when we sit with things, and I've been sitting with fears a lot lately, and it's quite an interesting experience where we're sitting and allowing something to be. And rain meditation is amazing for that. Sorry?
You said you've been sitting with something.
Fear.
Fears.
Fears.
Fears. Okay, yeah, sorry, yeah.
So when we sit with something that we're not so keen on and we give space, then we find a way of seeing it different. It kind of is a bit like a flower that's caught up, and as you give it space, it kind of opens and opens and opens and opens until you've got the whole blooming lot, you know. And it's beautiful because you get to see each petal and each everything, you know. So to be able to sit with our fears and make space for things, it helps us find our route and how we are comfortable or what we're not comfortable with. And it's always the best way I found it is I'd started off doing loving awareness. You know, I am loving awareness, but and using that as a mantra. But when that stopped working for me, I had to go and start learning about giving myself radical compassion. Because we can be our own worst, you know, we can keep ourselves caught up, we can be our own worst critics. And it was learning about how to hold space for myself and how to be able to process things and stop being caught up in all these fears, you know, because it's like you say, release the Kraken. If someone's caught that big huge octopus, and it's pulling them in, you know, what's going to get us caught up, what's going to dive on the line today. What are we all going fishing? Is this a mass fishing trip? Who can get the
It's
biggest thing
definitely,
to really screw up your own day?
yeah.
Or do we just take it back to ourselves? You know,
Very good. Okay, I
where
need
can we
to
make
hit
space and room
hotlines
for
here.
this?
I suspect. Thank you, Mama Bear. I suspect that we have people who might want to call in, including Andrew Gilchrist. Now, the danger here is, of course, it's becoming not the biggest phone-in in Europe, but Andrew Gilchrist's very own personal phone-in. Not that I doubt that you have some excellent things to say, but
Yeah, I'm
maybe
sure he
if you hold on heating up the hotline for just a moment there, please, Andrew. I'm fighting for the mouse here.
Oh, sorry.
You can't see that behind the scenes here. Wait for a moment. Just get ready. Maybe just do some press ups or something like that before you release your own personal phone in Kraken from Lisbon. And let's see if anyone else wants to call in. Before we go there, though, I've got a few images to throw into the mix here because they're very connected to what we're saying. Great to have you here, Mamabear McGowan. Mrs. M, I think, wants to add a few more things as well. But look at this. This is the power of nature, isn't it? Creativity in a meeting. Okay, everybody.
Oh, wow, I love that.
Yes, I want you to go into breakout groups, please. You five, could you brainstorm this thing? And now, do it now in this horrible boardroom. However, look, if you go out in nature on a walk, it just flows, doesn't it? The tap turns off in these buildings of ours. Alexa,
turn my feelings off.
I'm afraid that's not possible, is it? And
turn them on. You've got a feel to heal.
Got to feel the heal. There you go.
Oh, I love that.
If you want evidence that the world is a terrible place, watch the news and surf the web. This doesn't rhyme, by the way. But if you want to remember how incredible this planet is, go out into nature.
Yeah.
Unlike social media and the news, nature has no incentive to keep us agitated, angry, and anxious, isn't that? And I can't read this one, but I'm going to put it on the screen anyway. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's a good one as well, isn't it? From Tiny Obscure. Why don't you make like a tree and slowly grow while helping others around you grow too? I think Mama Bear's a bit
really
like
love
that.
that.
He might be going for his 5th badge today. We shall see about that. But I'm going to play the music and then see what happens after this to see who phones in on 913-590-303. We have a great guest, and I think we'll come back to you, Mrs. M, in just a moment. I think you.
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right.
I did need to tell you, I've got a 10:30, and I forgot to tell you earlier. And
You've got a 10:30.
I do have a 10:30.
I think we should be finished by then, right?
No, but it just occurred to me. Oh my goodness, what happens if you've got a 10:30 as well?
No, I'm okay. It's all right. You could have written it down on a piece of paper and held
and passed it over the
desk
desk.
with "I love you" on it as well.
Oh, let me do that now.
Okay, all right. So here we go. May not be the biggest yet, but it could be one day. My little acorn, I can assure you, will grow into something awesome in time. All it needs is a little bit of coaxing and encouragement, and you can do that on 913-590-303. We are going out on the Facebook, and there we go. We have
the phone.
Now, I'm not going to. Let's see. Let's not ask them who they are. Let's just say you're through, caller. On 913-590-303. Caller, you're through to the biggest phone in Europe. Good morning, Europe, and good morning, Portugal. And I think you might have your radio on in the background. Oh, no.
Not anymore. Good morning, it's James.
Oh.
Hello, James.
There goes the anonymity, as you might say. Go on.
That's right. Well, see, that was voluntary. I gave it up. Thank you for honoring my anonymity. I just want to keep it brief and say to those people who might be hesitant, reluctant, shy about calling in, it's really easy. Just dial the number and get in, and Carl will manage the rest from there. So
bless you.
Just want to encourage other folks, and again, this is not a strike against Andy. I love hearing what he has to say, but I am getting kind of tired of the same 3 or 4 people calling every day. So let's get some new folks, is what I'm saying. Call in, say it, make your comments, ask your questions.
Very good, very good.
Take advantage of it. Thanks. That's all I have to say. Well, I'm getting off now.
That might be a vingle. I might pull that out of the show this morning and make that into its very own vingle. Thank you, James, or whatever your name is, caller.
Feel free.
Right.
Who is that?
Thank you. Yes, indeed. Thank you for your call.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Goodbye. That's how we put the phone down here. Okay, very good. Pete came in earlier. I think Top Gear had a more successful attempt. We need context. I think that's the first thing he said this morning on the show. Thank you. When we were talking earlier on, I was thinking to myself, this is why we don't have sponsors. We talk an entirely different language, awareness, consciousness here. We are in conversation with a mattress. Not a manufacturer exactly, but a bed shop who want us to influence people to buy their mattresses. So we're thinking of broadcasting from bed for a week, aren't we, Mrs. M?
Yeah.
And helping that sponsor out. But we're not very brand safe when we go off like we did this morning. That's the phrase I think influencers, marketing people use.
Yeah.
Are they brand safe? No, we are not. And
No.
that's why I'm so delighted to see. But look at this, Paddy, thank you so much. A new subscription on our Ko-fi page. Ko-fi.com/GMP, or you can find that from our homepage. You've supported us this morning. Bless you. Thank you so much for that. Yes, we're more likely to be subscribed and supported by people who really enjoy what we do rather than marketing departments who say, hey, those people have got a lot of listeners. Oh, now they don't because they've been talking about that stuff again. Always exaggerating, Pete. Has he got a big acorn as well over there in Fundau? Wow. A phone in. I'm not allowed to call. Oh, he's got a hump.
You are allowed to phone in. I didn't say
triggered.
that.
If I take
You've got a great voice.
Am I offended? Okay. And east of the Rockies, T-Duck, you're on the air. I don't know that one. I've got to listen to a few of these good ones. The United States invented this genre of the phone-in, didn't they? I'm a little bit worried about Lord Gilchrist because Lord Gilchrist. He'll have friends in high places as well, won't he? My knighthood is jeopardized. I'm confused now. You've been away for a while, Moaz. We have Europe's biggest phone-in.
Moaz, you can phone in and say hi. So we open the phone lines from 9:30.
There you go.
So, if you want to phone in and speak to us, then the number's just on the bottom of the screen. It's 00351 913 590303.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for that, Mrs. M. And yes, if you don't phone in, we'll let Andrew phone in. Out of context, Carl, Top Gear had a more successful space attempt than the UK. Anyone seen a satellite? Oh, okay. Yes.
Right.
There you go. Thanks for clarifying that. Mrs. M, Mama Bear, is there anything else filtering through from your consciousness and from a deep place, those places that you go to? Because I pasted the definition of science, which I thought was useful, and then scrolled way past it. Here it goes. We were talking about science before. This might be a good time. I've lifted this from the etymology of science somewhere on the internet. It must be true. This might be a good time to examine the etymology of the word science. It comes from the Latin scientia, from science, which means having knowledge, from the present participle of sire. Morning, sire, meaning to know. Now, isn't that good? And I think it has Sanskrit roots as well. How else would you need to know something other than the way you described, Mama Bear? Going inside. Is that not the supreme knowledge, to know how it feels inside your body rather than reading peer-reviewed pieces of paper?
Yeah, because people can say what they like. And one thing I did get from school and the maths lessons, because I don't really like maths very much. It's not something I'm very good with, numbers. But when it comes, and you'll have a beautiful voice, it's your perception of you, Moaz. And the thing is, there's many other people with different perspectives, and I'm sure your voice will be absolutely beautiful.
Yes. How about that? 00351 913 590 303. Go on. Don't please. I do distract people by putting the comments up, so feel free to respond to them and what's the word? Improvise in that way, but I don't want to break your flow either.
Yeah. Sorry. Where was we? What was I saying?
Science and peer-reviewed papers. You know how it is in this age that how it is to me, this academic thing that we've had. And it's quite a recent thing, isn't it? It's within the last century.
That was it, wasn't it? I was saying about maths, and I was saying that the thing I learned at school was that they have this thing called mean, mode, median, and range. And that basically says how you can screw any figures to say exactly what you want and call it average. Right.
Yes.
So whenever you say the average or the most numbers, depending on what mathematicians using which mean, mode, median, or range, depends on what numbers you'll get out of it and what
Yes.
the numbers will look like. So you can't really trust any of them because you don't know how they've come to that conclusion.
But we can talk to people, can't we? This is the thing.
We can talk to people, yeah, but then you've got their perspective, so it's back to spidey senses.
Sure, no, I don't doubt that for one moment. But I think one of the reasons academia has become like it has is because they found a very elaborate and professionalized way of being right. You know, this is I'm going to write something.
But then it's righteousness again, and righteousness
No
is
question.
too
No
right and not
question.
enough of anything else, which
Yeah.
is again causing separation.
Yes, and what I'd love to do with the academics is like, what is it you're trying to say here? I'm really interested. But if you're going to go all kind of righteous on me and say, well, this has been peer reviewed, so therefore it must be absolutely correct. You know, it is the leading edge of thinking. It's like, well, okay, there's no conversation to be had, is there? Fair enough. You've done.
Think that would be the case, but look at what happened in the Houses of Parliament in the UK. There was about 4 MPs turned up to someone who'd actually got the balls to stand up and say, this has turned up and we really haven't questioned this, and why are we still carrying on giving out all these vaccines when it should not have happened, and we certainly shouldn't be giving it children, and all these different things by peer-reviewed people. And it took a lot of courage for the person to stand up for what he believed and stand up for his constituents, whether you believe it or not. It took him a lot of courage to do that. And people hadn't bothered to turn up. And I don't know if anything ever came of any of what he did and standing there. But what he did do was get more people talking and more people asking questions. And
Are you talking about Andrew
that's
Bridget?
good. It's good to be with people and ask questions.
Yes.
And to hear other people's perspectives. But remember that if we get attached to that as well, we're still getting caught up.
Absolutely.
So it's still remembering that we can all be right. You know, we're all right, but we also need to accept that everyone else is right too.
Yes, indeed. Well said. Look at this. Questions and comments regarding the conversation. Your voice is welcomed. And while I answer the phone, yes, there's no holding him back.
Good.
97% of scientists agree with whoever is funding them. The other 3% are banned from social media. Caller, you are through to Europe's biggest phone-in. You may remain anonymous if you like. Hello.
Bonjour. Je m'appelle Jacques.
Ah oui, Jacques. Bonjour to you as well. How are you this morning?
I'm not pulling this off, am I?
Look, I don't want any pulling off going on whilst you're talking to me. Thank you very much. So what is it you'd like to say? Because I think it's fair to say, from what I know of you, I've been blasting my guns over the academic bow this morning, haven't I? And we've been talking about science. I think you've got some skin in the game here, Andrew.
Well, I mean, look, I commented earlier, and it says like the scientific fields are many and varied, and some are hardcore evidence based, and some are more conceptual. But I'd still group them together under the sciences. But not everything deserves the accolade of a science. Also, if you're asking for common sense in our leadership globally at the moment, or indeed in managing these global pandemics, we've got the wrong people in the chair, haven't we? Really,
you could say that, and yes, you will not find any issue with me on that particular opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that irks me a little bit, and I was seeing something yesterday evening. Two, and I hate to say this, Brexiteers now blaming the Tory government for Brexit. I'm like, really? You're now just kind of like almost turncoating on the very thing that you're advocating for. So I mean, it's a sad world that we have currently, and there definitely needs to be a shake-up. I don't know if I would call it a great reset, but certainly a good shakedown or a shake-up would be in order.
Well,
But
this
this
is
is the shake-up. The shake-up's
Well,
already happening. It's
There
all
you
right
go.
saying, well, you know, it'd be nice if. Well, it's
Yeah.
already happening. Everything's being shook up. Yeah, you can't call this normal. Or, you know, this is far from as normal as I've ever experienced it. And it's certainly on a global scale. Everything's being, I'd like to swear now, but
Yeah,
shook up to, it
Let's go
rhymes.
with shook up. shall we?
You know, it is certainly happening,
problem with-
and it's been happening for years. It almost happened after the nuclear
that
age
use of
set in.
normal, though.
Go on,
Sorry,
Andy.
say that again, please, Andrew.
Yeah, was it?
There's a problem with the use of the word normal. I mean, we grew up in the Cold War. Was that normal? No. We grew
It
up.
was.
I grew up
It
in the
was
70s
then.
when there was a 3-day work
Normal.
week.
That at that point,
It's
that
very,
was normal.
Yeah, but it's a very loose term. I mean, you could also argue, did the Cold War really actually end, or did it just warm up a little bit? You know,
Interesting.
th-
Shifted to something
there's
else.
a whole thing of normal that I can't prescribe. If you went back into, I don't know, Victorian or Georgian era monarchy of time, I mean, the world would be a completely different place, and that would be normal. But yeah,
But it
in our
was
sphere of
normal
kind of
then, and it was a
horizon,
different place. Things evolve or devolve, and as everything changes, the normal changes, life changes,
right?
nature
Okay,
changes.
so I mean,
Nothing
I
ever
spoke about
stays
this
the
with
same.
Mrs. G.
Everything's impermanent.
Yeah, but you know, I asked this of Mrs. G. If she could choose an era to live in, hers would be Tudor, and I would say, well, I'd pick Roman, and you know, I would completely pick a different sphere of normal than the one we have these days. Interesting that she picked the medieval times.
It is interesting where we'd like to be in our fantasies, whether we call them fantasies or not. But back to last night, be here now. We could like to be wherever we'd like to be. We could want to be in the Caribbean or the Antarctic or something like that. But at the end of the day, we're here. We're exactly where we are in this moment. There's no getting away from that. And we can only do what we can to change the now. And the more we put our energy into being in our fantasies, the more we're avoiding being present in the moment, which is either going to be upping our anxiety and things about what's past, or worrying about things that haven't been, that aren't happening. The chances of us getting right what is going to happen at some point in the future, you know, no one's psychic. No one can really see into the future. You can only get it potentially right, based on probability, and it only takes a second to change the entire world. One thing, and everything can change again. Everything flips. So it's trying to become where we're at now.
Imagine though. Yeah, but imagine if the great shake-up never happened, and the new normal just continues to get even more crazy. Then what? What would we do then?
That would be normal.
Extinction?
Yeah, I think the point that's being made here is what is.
I don't think it's sustainable, though. That's the problem.
Interesting. Okay.
We're worrying about things that might not happen, that might never happen, instead of being in the moment and taking. You see, the more people that take responsibility for themselves now. Like if we all started taking responsibility for ourselves now and our health and our well-being, our actions and stuff now, then that would ripple out. The more people that start asking themselves questions and turning inward and taking responsibility in the moment, today or now, you know, that would ripple out, and that will change the world. That will consciously create the change that we need to see. But by worrying and putting all our energy into something that's not us, what we're doing is giving our power away to those in charge, and allowing it to be, and just allowing them to stay exactly where they are. Whatever things that we feel are imbalanced at the moment, we're giving them permission to be there, and we're creating more by whinging about it.
Right.
Because when it's psychic cause and effect, you know, so if you know those people that moan a lot, they always have plenty to moan about because they create it, they consciously create that to happen in the world.
Hold on,
you know, in their world.
Pierre in Lisbon wants to respond. Was it Pierre? That was the name you used.
I thought he said Jacques.
Jacques. Okay, sorry.
Jacques.
I'll make sure. I think Raphael is absolutely right. The next sticker that Andy gets needs to have a moustache and beret with a back. I'm working on it. I just needed to know the right name. Jacques, go on, carry on.
Well, yeah, I agree. Like the thing is, what's the methodology? Is it like a re-election? Is it a new political thinking? I mean, what's the repair back to normal, if you like?
Interesting, because
is this going to be something that we can collectively do or individually affect, or how is this going to work? Because I don't see people have the time in their lives to drop everything and take to the streets. Like, I mean,
yeah, but this is where it's sacred activism.
Let him finish.
Okay, I went to take my wife to work this morning. Lisbon is an absolute, a hive of activity. Everyone's busy doing their thing. I don't see how people have got much other option at the moment in this day and age.
Okay, Mama Bear.
I am a therapist. I'm a qualified therapist. I do mindfulness-based cognitive training, and I do a lot of trauma and grief things, which is why I do what I do to help people come into terms with living and dying consciously. Which
we haven't talked a lot about this morning, have we? But one of the things that was really interesting about what you were saying there, Andy, is your sorry, Jack, is that the methods you reached for were external, weren't they? They were revolutions, or they were changes of political systems, or things that people can do, as in actions that they might take within the external world. I think what you've been saying a lot this morning, Em, is about going inside, where we suggest
what it is when we're fantasizing, as we all do, we're fantasizing and we're not really taking responsibility for what we're doing now. And we can pass the buck and keep blaming him or her and this and that. And the more people who don't have the time, if something matters to you, you make time. You don't say, oh, I've not got the time for that. You've got the time. You make time for something that you feel passionate about. And it's sacred activism. So rather than putting our energy into, so it's like going to a peace rally and being angry and violent and saying, oh, we want peace now. It's rubbish. There's no point there at all to that. It's important to learning to be peaceful and bringing ourselves back to center and taking responsibility for our own actions and doing it in a mindful way. So what change do you want to see in the world, and how can it start with you? So someone, for instance, the other day turned around and said, oh, it'd be great if we could all sit under a tree, because I put something out there and said, oh, we all need to just sit and chill and take ourselves back to center. And he was like, oh, well, it's great in your world, isn't it? And I was like, well, actually it is, yeah. Because when I was so busy in that world where I was like, oh, you can't do this, and I was so righteousness about things, I was putting my energy into being right instead of putting my energy into being true. When I turned it round and took things and turned inward, what I was able to do was start up a free Human You're course online where I've got over 1,000 students. I was able to start permaculture coaching communities in Africa. I was able to do so much to really consciously create change, but I wasn't able to do that before because all my energy went into complaining and being right.
Like that, isn't it? It's a bit like this, when we rationalize creativity. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
by coming back to ourselves, we find our truth.
Well said. As we conclude today's show, Jacques, are you still there? And did you want to respond there? Thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all right.
I mean, do you find that a satisfactory solution, if you like? You know, what do we do to challenge the status quo? That you put it very beautifully in a very British way. I'm a little bit irked about this. I think you're massively pissed off, basically, if I can decode
No,
that.
I'm not really. I live in a country that's fabulous.
Yes.
And yet, there's still political turmoil. There's still corruption. But I mean, as a migrant, particularly, there's nothing I can affect in this country because I don't really have even the power to vote nationally. So, I think what I see about people, particularly in Lisbon, that they all worked hard because it's an expensive place to live in Portugal. So if people need to or want to affect change, it's going to take a lot of additional effort and energy, which I don't think a lot of people around the capital probably have that luxury of that much time. And like I said, the only other thing should be, well, what drastic measure is there left? Is it like collective upheaval? Is there a re-election? Is there,
I like
march on government?
I like what you're sharing there, Andy. And one thing I notice is it sounds like there's the it sounds like you've got this solid thought that the only way change can happen is through politics and through everyone voting, and that because you're not a national here, you therefore don't have any power to make any changes. If we keep that frame of reference that we're powerless and the only way to change things is through politics, then you're right. However, I think, as Mamabear has shared, I think there are so many different routes to things changing. And I do think we're actually in the middle of a really chaotic time. And in this chaos you never know when all of a sudden you'll be moved to find a solution or to know exactly when you're going to stand up. I understand what you say, we're all too busy, and Carl and I, we work round the clock, we're always doing stuff. So for us to try and find time to do something meaningful, it sounds impossible. And yet I know that at some point I'm really open to the fact that there will be this moment in time where all of a sudden something's going to click in my head and I'm going to know what it is that I've wanted to know. And in that moment, I will find the time, because when we get that real sense of what our truth is, all of a sudden it changes everything.
And perhaps it changes how you do what, if anyone is working around the clock, how they do that is really important, isn't it? Is what level of consciousness or awareness they're bringing to their daily activities might be a little bit of an angle as an option to saying, I don't have enough time to bring about the change I want to bring about. How about I change the way I do what I already do? Andrew, I think. Jacques,
it's funny because this goes back to my whole kind of migration in the first place. Is I was sick and tired of the direction of UK government and the squandering of the opportunities that the UK has had, and I believe that to be permanently damaging where it is now. So I took a conscious decision to leave that kind of environment, which is pretty distasteful as well, considering a lot of it was whipped up on the hysteria of nationalism and border control, which is all nonsense. So I've come to kind of the European zone with the chance for sort of life anew, but also, like I said, it's a little bit difficult because kind of I've stepped out of one political circle. I'm not fully engaged in this one, so I'm finding myself in a bit limbo at the moment, personally. But I'm sure there's others like me that are like that, or maybe they just don't pay any attention to politics anymore and have just stepped away from it. So
my observation,
I think,
my observation, Jacques, with this is it relates to this. You see, what's interesting about what you describe is that you moved away from a political situation you didn't like, but the feelings have come with you about it, and that that
Well,
might then
actually,
logically
those-
point. Go on.
Those are global feelings. I'm sure Americans have come to Portugal because they don't like the state of the political landscape.
they
of
have.
America.
We have met them.
We've met them on both sides.
However,
I am not alone in this feeling. I am
No,
positive of that.
I
you
feel
know?
like that too.
here's an American. If we accept that we only control ourselves, then we can also accept that it all starts with looking within and changing ourselves. Hence, it all starts with me. That's a slightly different view on it. I mean, I can understand why Americans come away from a situation they don't like. What I don't, and I also understand why they continue to be upset, but they do have a chance not to be upset using the method, I think, that Mama Bear's talking about this morning, and that James talks about with us every Monday. And he goes on to say, raising our consciousness and influencing through our example will raise the consciousness of others. Maybe that'll be an added bonus. The ongoing internal battle for body, mind, and spirit, and our traditional forms of information we have absorbed, have projected false truths and realities into our lives. They have created distortion of the truth. Through their greed and inequity, we must try and restore the balance. Bringing us full circle, which I suspect Mama Bear might pick up on.
Well, I've just got one last point to make.
Go on.
Which is a quick thing. There's another thing that I'm reminded of. I saw this thing years ago. It's a bit of one of those kind of motivational things where it's like luck, and if you don't have luck, you need to go and look for luck, and if you can't find luck, you then go and change the environment or change your situation where there will be luck somewhere else. So it's kind of like I think as change is as good as anything else. By moving countries, by starting again, I'm definitely starting it from within first. If I have to do anything, it's doing it for me first.
Thank you very much, Jacques. I think you are being written.
You're welcome.
Merci beaucoup, Jacques. I think the Reverend and therapist has just written your prescription. Did you just write something down for him?
I don't know if you can see that or not. Look, living under conscious knowledge.
Oh,
that's the only luck there is in this world.
Very good.
Exactly. I wholeheartedly agree.
Nice one. Okay, Jacques.
Wholeheartedly agree.
That is correct, my friend. I will be sending you your sticker that you can show to your friends in France there, okay? So thank you very much for calling in.
There's nothing like happiness.
You should know.
That was a joke.
That's a good joke.
It is. There from Senor Earths in Paris. Thank you very much, Andy. Talk to you again tomorrow.
Okay, have a good day, everyone.
See you later, mate. Bye. That's fantastic. Bientôt. I think we go to before we have our last couple of dad jokes as a little bit of a palate cleanser. And I've always been critical of the news media. They depress you for half an hour, and then they show you some fireman rescuing a cat from a tree. I understand it a bit better. We'll have a little bit of a dad joke palate cleanse, but not until we have Mama Bear's resolution of some of her articulations this morning. Last word to you then, Mama Bear. Thank you so much for being with us this morning and creating a very interesting discussion this morning.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been an interesting morning. It's always good. It's always different when we come together, and we always challenge things. We always challenge what we believe is real. We always look for what's true, and we always try and find truth. And we always do seem to get some really good balance in what we do. And I believe that what the main thing that we can take out of today is the more we take and accept responsibility for our own actions, the more we can change and create and be the change that we want in the world. But it always starts with ourselves. Beautiful. So we can blame who we like, we can live in our fantasies. But until we change ourselves, we can move wherever we like in the world. Our problems will always come with us. We're always carrying that extra weight. We can choose to put the bag down, or we can choose to carry on and carry it.
With your luggage comes the baggage, as we've said here before now, haven't we? And Alexa will not turn your feelings off. And I think, it's been so interesting, this idea of, right and wrong, and what is the right thing to do, what's the wrong thing to do. the great word that really stood out for me today was balance, and
Mm.
Simon's all over that in the comments as well that you share with us. So thank you, Simon, as well for using the word balance.
I'm not sure if there's a comment from Moaz. Mamabear, do you take international clients?
Yeah, I do. I've got clients from all over the world.
What's
I've
the
got
best
ones
way-
in India, America,
What's the best way for Moaz to make contact with you?
Facebook.
you
You'll
go.
find me through Share and Care.
Yeah, if you've got
Share
any
and
trouble
care.
with that, I can make the introduction for you there, Moaz.
Yeah, Carl can pass on my WhatsApp number.
And I'll put the link to Share and Care inside the chat as well, so you'll be. I mean, it's a good resource for anybody. Going back to the original reason why we were going to talk today, anything to do with death and dying in Portugal, bereavement.
This is death
grief.
and dying now.
Well, isn't it
It's not
just?
really dying as
Definitely.
we would think of dying, but it's bringing an end to something and being able to bring birth something else and into being. And some of that time it's we're ending how we used to live to become new and be reborn. And that's what life's about. Every day is a chance to rebirth yourself, to recreate yourself in something more beautiful.
Well said. I didn't include or didn't speak to the comments from Justin Johnson, who's been with us, who has the kind of the cut of jib with as our friend Lawrence in Totnes. Talking of Narnia and Totnes, this might be Lawrence, I'm thinking, under a pseudonym, but these were the comments coming in from Justin. First of all, fire, then water. And then T-Duck quite like the idea of firewater and a glass of aguardent this morning, possibly. And then Dirty Diana. Was that going back to the comment from our other lovely unexpected item in the bagging area this morning, who asked when the singing started? Wrong show. Well, sometimes it's the right show, but not this morning for that. Dirty Diana, I don't know what that was about. And then ham. And then facts like global warming. And I'm not sure and then GB Queen was another one, wasn't it? Justin, maybe you can call in tomorrow on 913-590-303 and read that poem out loud. Is it a poem, do you think, of words? Maybe it's a haiku. I don't know.
Fire, water.
And then, is that corn or a banana?
Dirty Diana.
I think that's yeah, so do call in
It doesn't
tomorrow.
sound like a poem.
Oh, and then
who knows?
finally, Jesus with a mask.
Baby Jesus.
With a mask on as well.
Not a baby.
Or is it a dummy?
It's a baby with a dummy.
Okay. Do excuse me. Okay, those last couple of dad jokes then. Thank you so much, Em. And good point. It's all about death and dying, isn't it, ultimately? 60 might be the new 40, but 9 p.m. is the new midnight. A lot of people know that here. And before Tickle Me Elmo, we'll have to translate this, won't we? That's an American toy, leaves the factory. It gets test tickles. Oh, isn't that nice? Okay, thank you, everybody. 9 minutes past 10. I'm sure people might need to go to the Chinese shop or Pingados or some other similar everyday matter, but take with you Mama Bear's wise counsel this morning, and we look forward to seeing you again in a month's time, Mama Bear. And you can check out the extended conversation, of course, we had last night with the webinar, A Matter of Life and Death in Portugal, on our YouTube channel. Have a great day. Love to you, your land, and your creatures there, Mama Bear.
And your dog, because you said you were up all night with your dog. Is your dog okay?
Yeah.
No, he's not okay. He's really imbalanced and he's doing my head in. And as much as I love making space and being there for souls, having something like that is not in balance with my well-being or my energy levels. So he'll be looking for a new home.
Oh, bless. Okay, we can relate to that in some small way. Yeah, well, good luck with that process. It's not an easy one to go through, is it?
Oh, it's one of those. I gave him a chance, but it's not working.
Okay, or maybe if anyone wants to reach out in that way as well, you can do that through Share and Care or through me, Carl at goodmorningportugal.com. Very happy to facilitate and find that fella a home more suitable to his needs, because that's what it's about, I think, by the sound of it.
Yeah, he needs somewhere where he can roam without without chickens, and where he can have plenty of walks a day. He's been getting nearly 3 hours walks a day on top of lots of training and stuff. He needs to be one-on-one, really. He needs someone with lots of time, lots of energy,
or a
where he
playmate
can
like
be
Jimmy Choo.
himself. Pardon?
Yeah, maybe or a playmate like Jimmy Choo can come on
He's
holiday.
got a playmate. He doesn't want to play with them. He wants to play with something else.
He wants to play with you, doesn't he? Well, good luck with getting that balance right. So good to talk to you. What a fascinating show it was this morning. Mrs. Emma, do you have any final words this morning? You
No, I'm good.
You've got a 10:30, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, we've got to go. Mrs. Emma's got a 10:30. See you next month, Mama Bear. Take care. Bye for now, everybody. Have a great day.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, GuMPers.